my progress so far. Coming along, lots of work. Cut out the holes in the bottom of the grills and all that. So attach the fender here to the rocker panel. All fiberglass glazed in there, and also I put a bolt in there. Things like rock solid. I got a little spacer down there. Get the alignment right, how far it's going to stick out to match the rear. And, I just put a first plate, steel plate in there. I'm going to put a lot more, fill all this in. It's bolted. Then it's going to be glazed, so it will look like all one piece there, all the way across. Got a rough idea how high I want this window frame. Working on that. Both doors are already cut out, the right length and all that, so they're ready to start mocking up. This long angle iron here is also for the same thing like the back. I want to make sure that when you look down, it's going to stick out the same amount up from the tire, front and rear of the tire. The hood on there, just a rough dry fit. Cut out the front grills in the front, and that's it. Coming along. A lot more progress on my 2006 Porsche Boxster S. Major modifications. I tore the chassis all apart, extended it, cut it in half, extended 11 inches. So fabbed all that back together, welded bars and all that in, and fiberglass, resin, and all that good stuff. It's all secure and strong. You can see the work down there. It's really reattached all the extended emergency brake, gear selector. So just remounting the roll bar with a little modification, but want to put it back in there, not as a roll bar, but more as just to strengthen and tie the chassis all together, because it bolts into the chassis, and I can use it for a lot of weld points for the hinges of the deck lid, and also it has a seat belt attachments on it, so definitely want to use that over again. So this is the frame for the trunk lid. It was a total nightmare to get all this because the curvature of this fiberglass here and that piece over there, that piece was connected here, so I had to cut it all around there and down. But you know, as soon as you cut it, when it's fiberglass is memory, it's going to want to go back flat, and you can see the curvature. It needs to stay like that. So I put a bunch of pieces here temporarily on this side to keep that curve. Same down there and over there. So what I'll do on the other side is glaze in with fiberglass a bunch of bars like that to keep that same curve that you can see now. So when it goes back on the frame, it all match up. I noticed the other day this all needs notched out here. The design of the hood, which is fine. There's a steel brace under there anyways, which I should be able to leave that there, but need to notch that out. And it's probably the hardest part I did so far was this frame. And with all the fiberglass kept dripping down, and it looks pretty rough and rugged, but it's really strong, and then it's going to be all sprayed with undercoating or just black paint, because it's all glazed in there. It ain't going nowhere. This is a huge 1 inch by 2 inch steel bar that I curved and bent and then welded it after I notched it up to make it bend like this arch here. So we're going to tie a lot of that into this for security of the holding the roof on. Not pretty, but it will be when it's all done. It's just trying to get everything lined up, and anything is strength. So I'm probably going to come off of here, this roll bar, with some brackets up to the trunk lid. Obviously that's backwards, but you get the idea. It's a good mounting points now on that roll bar, where I would have had to fabricate a bunch of brackets down off the engine cover down there, which took a lot more fabrication. Can be done, but I figure I might as well do it the easy way, use what I got. So I tied these both ends in with this steel bar. I don't know if I'm going a lot of overkill, but just want to make sure all this is going to be strong. Put some body putty in there just to fill those cracks in. What else? A lot of this front's all secured and attached. You can see the whole car shakes now. You move it. A lot of steel bracketry glazed in and attached to the chassis here. This I want to do this again and put some metal mesh on the back of this and body filler, and just use the fiberglass on the outside to make that really strong. Let's see, there's another attachment piece here. Start to glaze this in. Another piece there, and then there's two pieces right on the bottom that hold the front on. There's probably one more attachment I want to do to the front section, and then the front attachment section will be all done. And gonna have to cut where the old windshield frame was. Need to cut that back. It's gonna interfere with the new door and glass. What else? This window frame I put in there, all fabricated in there. This thing is strong. Way stronger than the last one I built. Guess you learn a lot trial and error on the first one. So this one's probably going a lot faster. But this is a 4 or 5 inch by 1.5 inch steel bar coming down here with these steel gussets over there, and then after I welded all that in there, I covered it with fiberglass. You can see over here. I might sand it up a little bit, make it a little smoother, but you're not going to see all that. The windshield, got that. Did a test fit with that in there, if it's good. And also got the two side windows. Just did a test fit with to see about this arch here for the top of the window ceiling, and it's good, surprisingly. That should work out. So next plan, yeah, secure the rear deck lid hinges and fabricate all that on there. Then do another fit with the deck lid on there on the hinged, and hopefully that's gonna not be too much trouble. I think it's going to be easier to work on stuff not all open like this. This engine compartment here, I'm thinking just taking this cover out, this Porsche Boxster, and leaving this off all the time, because it's going to be inside the engine compartment. And then into the cockpit there, that's going to be all sealed off. Sealed off, but it's going to have panels if you ever have to remove it to get to the front of the engine here. So I'm going to fabricate a bunch of stuff. I don't know what kind of material I'm going to use yet. Thinking some kind of wood covered with leather, something that can be taken off and on pretty easy if I need to get in there, and then put a bunch of sound deadening this brand of this stuff over here, a big roll of it. It's really thick, tar and aluminum foil type material. I guess that's about it. Coming along. There's the driver's door. So just taking a video of the Saturn driving door before I strip it all apart. The regulator for the car I'm building, in case I forget how to put things into the new door. All this black reinforcement bar and all that will be cut out of there just to get to it. Passenger or driver's window. There's the driver's side. Here's the other one I cut out, the passenger side, along with the fabricated door up here. Just setting this stuff here for now. That's the glass with it all the way down. It's really rough, but did the power window, passenger door, did that first before I do the driver's side. So mounted this and fabricated all these brackets and all that for the window regulator. The window's up like 3/4 of the way. There's the part here. Door's just temporarily up, being held up. It won't be going up that far later. The latch, so I'll be better covered up and all that with. Tricky part was getting this door to swing not only up but swing out, and it does, but I wish it would swing out a little bit further, but it's just really hard to get it to swing out further and then be alignment when it comes back down with the hinge I got that I fabricated. This piece here is for the glass. That's actually on the same real car, has the same thing. It's trimmed up, but we fix up this edge and put some body molding on it, but it's far away from that. But it does go up and down, no problem. It works good. There's a lot more fine tuning and stuff and body work on it. Had to fabricate all this and down inside there for the vent. You'll see what it looks like before. That's the driver's side, it's not done yet.
Yeah. Yeah, it's recording right now.
Just making a quick video. Sorry, don't look like much has changed. So the third brake light I put in there, that's going to be scrapped. Going to patch that hole back up because I ordered a spoiler for the car, and it's going to look something like this one, a little bit thicker, and then right here in the spoiler, it's going to have a third brake light. So I don't need a fourth brake light, so I'm going to fill that in. The other thing was I scrapped the project here with the spoiler going up and down with the Porsche Boxster. So I put fiberglass underneath this whole Duraglaze in there, and then on the top I just put Bondo because Bondo is a lot easier to sand and finish and make it look good. What else? So working on the door, rocker panel, whatever you want to call it, door jambs. If you remember before, this was real high here, like the old Corvettes or the Viper. It's just hard when you're getting in and out of the car. You got this big ledge sticking up there, so I don't like it. I dropped it down, and I'm getting it just a rough. Just get a rough for the professionals to finish it, not me. The other thing, I cut this hole open here for the gas. What's weird is when I look at that, that looks huge. It looks way too big. But this is the exact door from the Porsche Boxster, so I got the same dimensions. What's weird is I would never look at a Porsche Boxster and say, wow, that's too big. But I don't know. On here, I don't know. It kind of looks too big to me. And you can see the fiberglass. It's kind of thick. I'm thinking it's going to have the body shop thicken it up. And then I'm almost thinking to make it smaller on the sides because they really don't need to be that big. Luckily, I reinforced this for like one of the first things I did with the car all the way around all the wheel wells. So this is still really strong here. It won't even move even though it's kind of close to that hole, right? So this isn't, it might have to come up, we'll see, maybe right there. But I want to make sure the wheel don't hit it, clearance. And that might be the other thing is a 19-inch might be pushing it when I drop it down, so I might have to be stuck with 18-inch on the front. But I guess as long as I get the right low profile, it should look all right. The big thing is I really want like 21-inch on the rear, but I don't know if you can go that big from 18, all the way to 21-inch that much. I know a lot of cars will have 1-inch difference. So I don't know. I guess it depends on the way you have the coilovers adjusted. You can compensate by bringing the coilovers down a little bit more if the wheels in the back are a lot higher. But it's still going to be riding higher in the back. So we'll see. Maybe 20-inch on the rear, just 2-inch difference from the front. Working on a lot of these two vents on both sides. They were really thin before, so thicken it up. And then I also put a Duraglaze on there because those edges need to be really strong. And then this before came straight down here. To me, it just didn't look right. It needs to be swept back, like you see this part is swept back on the car. Just my opinion, the way it looks, I think it's going to look better. But this is probably going to be covered with that carbon fiber, body wraps they like to do on cars. That's going to be covered with carbon fiber. This piece here is going to be covered on both sides with carbon fiber wrap. And then the whole roof, 2 pieces. So I'll just take it to one of the shops that does body wraps. Yeah, it won't be carbon fiber, but that stuff looks pretty good. I had it before on the old car that I built, and I did it all in here, and it looked real. And I did it. So I'll just take it to some professional place and then do it. So what else? Oh yeah, so I filled in these little pieces here. This was both sides, hard to tell. But it went way over here in like a point. That's not right. It's supposed to be here in the way it's supposed to be designed. If the body kit was a little bit off, so fill that in. It's roughed, right? Let the professional fix that. The other thing is, so I had like a dozen different body shops come over and give me estimates, and they're like all over the place. But also on top of that is I had to go and check them out because this isn't some car they're going to take off a wrecked fender and slap on a new one, some insurance claim. Somebody really need to know what they're doing. So I weeded out a couple that even after the estimates, there's no way I'd want them touching the car. And trying to narrow down a couple, but it's just a long hassle of a project, man. Because some people are like, estimates are like way off the scale, like ridiculous. And then other people's like really, really low. And you think, well, they could save a lot of money. But the end result, you don't want to do all this work and then have some crummy job, right? Everybody's saying to use solvent-based paints on there. I know with all the new cars, I think they use water-based because for the environment and all that, but people thinking that the solvent-based a little bit better. Well, if you remember from the last video, so this whole thing's a steel frame, right? But this was all knocked out like some beaver was chewing on it, and I had to clean all that up and fix it. It was knocked out before because it was bent and it was sticking out too far to have a piece of glass over the plexiglass window. So I cleaned it up. It's a little bit too thick on the bottom, but the body shop can finish that. The other thing is this roof, underneath this roof, the body curves around and goes like that. But this was curving around like right there on the edge, and I felt that there wasn't enough of this body to rest on that. So I kind of made underneath here a lot bigger piece, part of the body, so that I had something to rest on better, more secure. Cleaned it up a lot more, but it's still really rough, right? The body people gotta really clean up all the gaps. The spacing in the windshield, you can see it's a little bit low on this side compared to the other side, but I'm thinking that's about what I want. Is a little, maybe the size of a pencil or a little bit less, and then you're just gonna have the rubber sealer in there, RTV or windshield, and no molding or anything. And that's the look I wanted on there. I don't know if I ever showed this down in here before, but this on the Porsche Boxster, right? This is out under the, outside the windshield. You know, the other windshield used to go right to here. So all this was outside and it had the cowling and all that. So now that's part of the inside the interior. The big thing is with the windshield wiper, there's just no way I'm going to be able to use that original windshield wiper motor, and even with a bunch of brackets and all, I have to relocate it. But then again, this car's never going to be driven in the rain, so I'll decide about that. We'll see. Door's still looking rough, really rough. Trying to clean it up, but I just hate doing body work. I'm hoping in the next 2 weeks that I can finalize somebody to work on the car and do it. Most of the people are saying like they need one guy focused for like a month, 8 hours a day, but I don't know. I look at it, I think somebody knows what they're doing. It's really going to take 4 weeks of 8 hours a day to do this, but I'm no body man, so I don't know. It just seems like that's a little overkill. Obviously, you can see the gaps are terrible, right? Crooked. Probably could go, I mean, I think I made them too narrow, so it could go a little wider, and while you make them wider, they might get straightened up. This rear diffuser is going to come back off because it's still not a perfect fit. I kind of was going to leave it that close, but I think once you get in close to the car and you look down on it, you're going to see those gaps, and you got to make it a little bit. I don't want it to mold like it's a same attached, but it needs to be a little bit tighter fit. Passenger seat on, it was just sitting in there anyways, but I guess you can see, I don't know if I ever showed the interior very much, but you can see the steel bracing that I framed in, all that. I mean, there was nothing there on the outside. I had to mold all that in with all fiberglass, and I put the roll bar, the Boxster roll bar, back in there. It's attached in the original spots, because the seat belt's actually attached to this little bolt hole there. And also I attached the roof to it, or the rear trunk hatch, whatever you want to call it. So I don't know what about the color. I mean, I guess this color would go with red. These seats are pretty wore out, but I see they sell kits you could just replace the covers yourself on the seats. It's not too expensive for Boxsters. But now I'm not sure on the color. I'm still kicking it around. I'm not sure if I wanted this. It's kind of hard to tell, but that's the orange. The orange, or I want the red. My first one I did, the red one, but that was the Diablo. Right? Definitely don't want white. That looks terrible. The blue, I don't like that either for a sports car. But all these pictures, they really help when you're trying to figure stuff out. I mean, a lot of these seams were not in there on this car because it's 2 pieces. On mine, it was 1 piece. So I had to put those in there with a Dremel tool to make it look like a separate piece. And then you can see this piece here is a separate piece, but mine was too, but then all the Bondo work and everything, trying to smooth things out, it kind of made it joined up 1 piece. I had to put seams back in there. But we'll see about these wheels. I don't know which ones I like. I mean, a lot of places sell the wheels ridiculously priced too, so I don't know what I'll end up going with. I don't know, I kind of like the black wheels, but we'll see. guy's getting seasick. What else? I took the door off a couple weeks ago, put it back on. I can't remember if I filmed it with it off or on, but I was working on the inner door panel. It's a nightmare. I hate doing that kind of work, interior work. And I get it as close as I can and then have an interior shop finish it. It's going to be some work in here, but it's easy for these guys to make false panels or whatever you want to call them, cover all this stuff up and make it look really good. It came with a bunch of thick rubber carpet here. It's like 3-4 inches thick here that covers all this engine compartment. But it still felt like when I drove the car, I didn't drive it very many times before I cut it in half, but it felt like it was warm. I mean, even though it had that padding because the engine's right there. So I'm going to cover it with this stuff. It's kind of like Dynamat. I'm going to cover all that. Try to keep the heat in there. The other thing is that when I sat in the car before it was stretched, the back of that seat was me sitting there was like banged up against there, so they transfer heat from the engine right into my back. But you can see the seat's in a position where I'd probably have it, and look how much room now. We'll see what I put. If I could get some speaker boxes and subwoofers, that would be kind of good. A lot of room there to put them in there. We'll see. That's a long way away, you know. We got the paint on the car. Don't worry about no stereo. I think that's it. So my spoiler, like I said, should be here in a couple weeks. And it's a good thought, I guess, doing the Porsche Boxster was going up and down with speed, but technically on the real car, this thing is supposed to go up like this with speed, right? But this is fused into the car as part of it's not a separate piece. So there's no way to make that work. And I don't know if those ones, when they attach them, they must deactivate that. Because I don't know if, I don't think they go up. I don't know. That's interesting though, because I've seen a lot of them on YouTube where they're, you know, the stock ones without a spoiler, the external spoiler, it goes up when you get on a certain speed. But I never seen one when they add on the real high spoilers like I'm going to put on there. They must deactivate it because that might be kind of weird, this thing lifting up with a spoiler that's already on there like a foot high already. I don't know. There's a locking mechanism. So that was from a Saturn. Or wait a minute, let me think. It's been a while. Yeah, this one was from a Saturn. I didn't use the Porsche Boxster ones because they were just way too big and bulky. They wouldn't fit in there. So it's pretty rough in there now, but all this is welded in. There's steel underneath there. It's pretty sturdy. The weird thing about this car is the latch, right, to release the door is here. So if you pull a handle, you're not going to release nothing here because it's this. There's nothing to release. So when you pull the door handle, how's that going to work? I have to run a wire down through there and come back around electrically and put a puller on it, you know, a popper. I was going to put a popper on it anyways, electrical. So I don't know if I'm going to put some handle here. I think that might not look right. I'll probably just put the handle like it should be in the door. And then it's going to be, when you pull it, it's not going to be mechanical. It's going to be like electrical contact when you pull it. And then it'll activate the popper back here. So what I do now is just this wire is on there now. This just pull back to open it. But it's electric, so I can electric lock the doors. There's the solenoid for the electric lock and unlock. I mean, I don't know which door lock mechanism people used. I mean, I went and got the door because I needed the glass and I needed the window regulators, and I figured, you know, I might as well use the door locking mechanism. I mean, I probably could have maybe used a smaller one, but It'll fit in there, and then it's going to be covered with plastic and a big plastic piece once they clean all that up, right? The body shop. So the only piece, this will be open right here for this thing to slot down in there. The striker. So we'll see. This piece I put in here, it just annoys me. It's a piece of steel welded in there, and it goes all the way over here. This is so secure now. I'm gonna cut that off. It just looks terrible. Cut that piece. It doesn't have one on the other side. And because there's gonna be a big mesh in there, right? And you're probably gonna be able to see that plastic mesh grill. The other thing is I covered all this inside already with fat mat. You know, it's like Dynamat. Fat mat, I covered all that inside there because when you're driving down the road, what I noticed about that, the first car I did, is when rocks are flying up, these things make it sound like a tin can because it's not OEM, right? So I try to cover all of it on the other side with that fat mat, so when rocks and stuff hits this inside the wheel well, it doesn't sound, you know, it sounds more solid. This piece is like all cut up. I don't know, it's not doing much, but it's supposed to block the air a little bit, I guess, right here. As you can see, it was cut. It was on the other car. Thinking that's about it for now. Sorry to say, I got not much new to report. Worked on this a little bit. This is really high, this over here. I don't know why I keep doing putzing around doing this body work when that's what I'm gonna pay somebody to do. I'm gonna have to make a cowl for in there out of fiberglass and then painted gloss black to fill all that in. Technically, that's where the windshield wiper is supposed to come up out of that hole. I want this windshield dropped down another ½ inch. It's a little too high because when the wind's coming, you don't want to, even though it is higher than it right now, you don't want to grab that lip, right? Drive down the highway and rip the windshield. I guess you can see from that side. It is definitely lower, but I think just to be on the safe side, go a little lower because once they put the windshield sealer or RTV, it might raise it up a little. I think this thing here is an amp for the stereo. I put it up there. There's the filter. That should be outside. Getting fresh air, so that's going to be something I'll have to figure out. I'm thinking of putting back here, since all this is open, right? There's going to be a mesh in there, grill, mesh in these two little things on two on each side, right? But in here, it's like layered glass. They're all my shapes, weird shape, Canada triangular pieces, trapezoid, some shape. And they're going to be layers like steps, 2 or 3 pieces of that mounted from underneath. So the problem is, right, if it gets wet, all that water is going inside there, and this is the interior of the car. This isn't really watertight. So I'm thinking of put some kind of, build something underneath there. It's like a drain so it can catch it, but you won't notice it. Some kind of funnel mechanism piece, like the shape of this, but underneath it lower. So when the rain comes in there, it goes in it, and then it'll run out the side, down out of the car. Even same here, I mean, you don't want water going in here. This is their, on this Boxster, there's a fuse panel back here, a big fuse panel back here, and there's a lot of electrical, and the PCM, you know, the brains is back here, so this can't get wet. I don't think the way the layer glass is, that rain can get in there because it overlaps a lot, but definitely where the mesh holes are at, rain can get in there if I ever get stuck in the rain somewhere. I try to seal all this up. You can see it's all sealed up now to make it watertight. Actually, you can see there's a little plug there. That's interesting. Maybe I can use that as a drain or run right out of there. So we'll see. Right now it still has the cats on it, catalytic converters. You can see right there. And then my new muffler piece connects on there, goes all the way back. See it there. I kind of wanted to wrap it a little more with that header wrap. These ain't headers, but header wrap to keep that heat off that rubber boot. So we'll see. Maybe put some more. I got more of it. Blue definitely wasn't my first choice, but for some reason the fancy colors black and common colors are more money. And I figure I don't care. I'll just spray with header wraps sealer stuff. You know, that paint that seals in the header wrap. I'm gonna paint it silver probably, or black. But actually it sounds pretty good for the muffler. It was on there. I wasted like tons of work fabric off my own muffler. Made it with these big 3-inch pipes and all this. It has so much resonance and it gives me a headache just hearing the thing idle. So this, I bought online out of this place out of Texas. I think, is their name on there? I'm forgetting what the heck. It's been like a year now. I'm sure it's on that label in there, but I forget. But they're the same ones that sold all the suspension. They sell a lot of stuff for Boxsters and other cars. But all that's going to be covered with black mesh right there. All right, I guess that's it. So I just put a new exhaust system on my Aventador Replica on the Boxster S chassis. So I had one I fabricated myself and made it, but didn't sound right. This one sounds a lot better. Sorry, I'm not gonna start it up. It's the Speed Pro Race exhaust, Speed Pro 1 I think it's called, and has the pipes coming all the way straight back, bigger diameter, and then goes into these, the little 90 or so degrees to get into this muffler on each side. But there's other people advertising them online. I think mine's a little bit lighter because I don't have the caps. So that's pretty much done. I just might do some header wrap on there and then spray the pipes. The other thing, working on the these seams everywhere. This car's supposed to have these seams, body seams. So using our Dremel tool, putting those in there. Just need to sand a couple spots down, and also need to sand all these little vent holes here, and there's 2 big holes, rectangular holes you want to call it, whatever shape they are. It's going to be 3 layers of glass in each, like a steps. So and then this one up here is probably going to have I can't remember if that's supposed to be a piece of glass or mesh. I probably would put a piece of glass in there, I don't know, because remember the inside of here is over top of the engine area. I really don't want to get a lot of water in there, so it's going to have to be tricky the way I mount all this with some drainage in that, because there's a big fuse panel down in the Boxster down in that side there. These rough looking holes here for the spoiler, that's going to go up and down with the speed of the vehicle. There's a big bracket that covers those up. Looks like some animal chewed the holes in there. It's pretty rough, but it does the job where it's supposed to be. Started, so I built this side, a little vent here. Finally, after months of not doing it, with the other side's already done. Just got to do a little bit more Bondo, the Duraglaze on that around the edge, and that should be done. This whole piece here is going to be all glass, plexiglass. It'll be all covered up, black, tinted. Got the side window temporarily in there. Just trying to get the alignment done and see how that's going to fit. You notice that this is pretty close to there. So there's going to be a piece of, you know, the plexiglass is going to be here, and then there's going to be a bead of rubber, you know, window seal. So that should be pretty tight there, seal. And then the top of here needs notched down a little bit for the window. The other thing I worked on was the windshield. Here's the busted one. The big blunder mistake I did was grinding the whole sides down to make it fit in there. Kind of silly. But the last car I did, I had to do the same thing. But I don't know why I didn't just grind the sides, so I did it right this time. I didn't cut anything on the windshield, so the windshield, you can see the black is the same thickness around the side on both sides. Nothing grinded down, because when you start grinding these down, it weakens the glass. But the last time I was sanding this, the last bit I was taking off, it cracked, and then it got cracks everywhere else. Once it got one crack, so this is just sitting in here, and it's a lot more fitment I gotta do, but it needs to be really snug. Like most cars, there's a big gap. Like that gap there's probably a little too much still. Obviously I need to close all this in. It's way too wide of a gap there. This should be like maybe a I don't know, thickness of maybe a straw, or a little bit thinner than a straw, 1/4 inch, however you want to say it. So that's going to be, and then I got to build this up a little bit. The roof's a little too low for the glass there. And here, I wanted the glass to be a little bit lower than the hood. Obviously, you don't want the wind coming there and catching that edge of that glass. So that should be good. And then I'm going to build a, I don't know what they call that in there, right? Where the windshield wipers and all that's down inside there. A cowl, I guess it's called the cowl. I have to make one. The one I got for the Boxster, just no way that's going to fit in there. Shape is huge. It'll take so much modification. So I'll make one out of fiberglass and just paint it gloss black, because water's going to run in there. And on this Boxster, the stereo amp is in there. And it can't get no sight, and the battery's down in there, so it can't get no water in there. This is going to take a lot more work here. Had to do some modification on that. Here's the driver's side, and the window alignment a little bit more. You can see it's off. It's sticking out way too far in the back. So I've got to make some modifications there. Obviously, it's not up all the way either. But it's coming along. These gaps took forever to get decent. It's going to be all a big piece of plexiglass on here, real thin. For me, not knowing much about body work, the gaps look pretty good. When I take it to the body shop, they might do a little bit better, but personally to me, it looks pretty good. You can see this line down here in the body. I had to put that in there. You just sand that to replace. What else? Can't wait to get the wheels and figure out how those are going to look, because you can see these are in way too far. It's terrible. And that's about it.